It is obviously ludicrous to suggest that ugly church buildings are the reason that people don't go to church anymore. The argument is nonsense. I've seen this meme both on Twitter as well as on Instagram, and in both places people got very angry. But there is actually more to this meme than just stupidity, because there actually is a relation, but it's the other way around. The world is not secularizing because the church buildings have become ugly, but the church buildings have become ugly as a side effect of secularization. Now, obviously, there are other things you can point to explain why modern churches are not as pretty anymore. For example, you can point to the fact that labor has gotten more expensive and that the modern man prefers a more humble aesthetic. But I think those explanations don't quite suffice. I think it's an unavoidable conclusion that people simply do not care as much as they used to. Obviously, you can say, oh, we shouldn't donate to the church while there's so much need in the world. We should donate, for example, to the starving children in Africa. I obviously respect that. In the Middle Ages, those kind of charities did not exist. It wasn't possible yet to do that kind of thing. Nowadays, it makes sense that you prefer to spend your money on starving children or children who die of preventable illnesses. However, I would argue that the church is not a charity. If a believer is to donate money to the church, they are also spending it on themselves. If going to church is important to you, obviously you would spend money on it in the same way you spend money on your own living room. In that sense, the church is not really a charity at all. So the money spent on the church is not competing with the money you donate to charities, but with the money you spend on yourself. I think that therefore the way modern churches look illustrates where the heart of the modern day believer is. Given that in the West everybody spends their money on the most unsavory things. I personally think that if you go on holiday 3 times a year, but you go to church in a gymnasium, the church is not very important in your life. So ugly churches can be a sign of secularization.